Welcome to Asian Horizon. So this weekend, Ebrahim Raisi was confirmed as the winner of the presidential election in Iran. Now the question is, what's going to be his policies and strategic thinking going forward? Well, first of all, current President Rouhani's term ends on August 3rd, which means that his administration will remain in power for the next 7 weeks. Raisi confirmed already that he would support, an agreement on JCPOA. So the talks in Geneva are going to continue, and they've had progress, but there are issues that still remain undecided. So whether or not they actually will reach an agreement on JCPOA remains to be seen. But for the Iranian side, it is critical that it is verifiable so that the US side complies with the agreement and actually in the implementation of it, but also in terms of developing trade relations, sanctions relief, and financial transactions and banking transactions. These are critical issues for Iran because of the experiences in the last time when JCPOA was implemented, but they didn't really see, verifiable and real implementation from the Iranian perspective. Therefore, going forward, if there is no JCPOA agreement reached, then Iran probably will continue enriching uranium. Regardless of whether or not there will be JCPOA agreement, Iran under Ebrahim Raisi will continue its regional policies as we have seen before. Iran will also continue its policies of advancing its technological developments in its military sphere, strategic ballistic missile technology, etc. These are things that probably Iran will continue whether or not they reach an agreement on JCPOA. So that is just for Iran to kind of maintain its independence and its position in the larger Middle East and on the global scene. Now, Iran is also aware that if Donald Trump were to run for election in the next, a presidential election cycle in the US, and if he were to win, Iran is aware that the US could pull out of potentially a JCPOA agreement again. However, if the US were to do that under a President Donald Trump 2 period, then Iran probably would say they will never start JCPOA talks in the future again, as they did now under President Biden. So I think there are, various issues and balancing acts that are under consideration in Tehran. President Raisi under his new administration will certainly be monitoring developments very closely. If there is a JCPOA agreement reached, well, then it will be implemented accordingly, verifiably, and it'll be followed up. But in terms of the larger strategic context, President Raisi, under his administration going forward over the next 4 years until the next presidential cycle in Iran, will really, I think, just, kind of cement his strategic conservative thinking, but also remain balanced in terms of building relations in the region. There have been now 3 rounds of talks between Iran and Saudi Arabia in Iraq. Those talks are probably also going to continue, even under President Raisi. So, I think they're going to maintain more or less the policies that we saw under President Rouhani, but in terms of seeing a larger change in various, regional policies or strategic policies, I don't think that's realistic. We're probably going to see implementation of the China-Iran strategic agreement. We're probably going to see Iran continue its relationships with both Russia and other regional countries. And I think these are just kind of the main foundations that will more or less continue. So I don't think that we're going to see much, real strategic change in terms of Iran under President Raisi. More or less, we'll see a continuation of policies. Now remains to be seen how the economic situation will develop. That'll also depend on whether or not JCPOA will succeed or not. But regardless, we will see Iran shifting more towards the east, with implementation of the China-Iran strategic agreement, development of infrastructure from Iran towards Central Asia, towards Afghanistan, potentially also across the border to Pakistan, in addition of developing its energy sector and various other industrial sectors. So these are just some critical, key thoughts in terms of, I think, where President Raisi is going to take Iran going forward. But, I think in all, he's pragmatic. He's going to remain rational in terms of kind of cementing and strengthening Iran's position to the extent it is possible. And I think that is critical for him going forward. Well, thank you so much for joining Asian Horizon. And please remember to subscribe. I look forward to see you again.